Our tale begins some 450,000 years ago. The Anunnaki, hailing from a distant world called Nibiru, ventured across the vastness of space to Earth. Their mission was critical: to procure gold, a resource scarce on their home planet but abundant here, to repair their deteriorating atmosphere. These celestial travelers, possessing advanced technologies and seemingly divine powers, found the resources they sought primarily in the region of southern Africa. However, mining this precious metal proved to be a laborious task. To ease their burden, the Anunnaki engineered a new species, Homo sapiens, by genetically modifying the existing hominids of Earth. This new creation was designed to serve as laborers in the gold mines, marking the dawn of humanity. As eons passed, the Anunnaki not only exploited Earth's resources, but also imbued human civilizations with their knowledge and culture. They were revered as gods, their deeds and directives woven into the mythology and religious texts of ancient societies, from Sumeria to Babylon, Egypt to the Americas. However, this interstellar intervention was not without its tumults and tribulations. The Anunnaki themselves were not a monolith, but a pantheon of powerful beings, each with their own agendas, rivalries, and desires. Their internal conflicts often spilled over onto Earth, influencing and often exacerbating human affairs. Are the stories of these ancient astronauts mere myths, or do they contain kernels of a forgotten truth about our origins and the vast, unexplored cosmos that surrounds us?
According to mainstream scholars, the Igigi were the younger servants of the Anunnaki, who initiated a rebellion against their masters and dictatorship of Enlil. Eventually, the Anunnaki replaced the Igigi with humans. In the myth of Atrahasis, the Babylonian story of the flood, and a precursor to the flood story in the Gilgamesh epic, the Sumerian paradise is described as a garden where lower gods, the Igigi, were put to work, digging a watercourse by their masters, the Anunnaki. Ancient astronaut hypothesis suggests that the Igigi were similar to the Anunnaki, remaining in constant orbit around our planet. They were basically considered as intermediaries between our planet and Nibiru, home of the Anunnaki. Many believe that the Igigi remained in constant orbit around our planet in giant platforms, which processed ore and minerals delivered from Earth. After processing the minerals, the material was transferred to other ships and eventually transported to the home planet of the Anunnaki. The Igigi were apparently never encountered by mankind. It is said that several texts make reference to them, suggesting the Igigi were too high up for mankind, and consequently, were not concerned with people. After years of tenuous and hard work for the Anunnaki, the Igigi rebelled against their masters. It is said that they set fire to their tools and surrounded Enlil's great house by night, forcing the ancient Anunnaki to find another source of labor. This is why the ancient Anunnaki replaced the Igigi, after genetically engineering ancient humans, creating a greater workforce. Many authors suggest that the human slave race was created after the ancient Anunnaki genetically modified their genes and that of early humans nearly 500,000 years ago. Who was Enlil? Why was all this labor needed? Where does humanity fit into the picture? The Anunnaki pantheon begins with Anu, the great father of the sky, also known as An. Anu was originally the supreme ruler of the Mesopotamian gods. He had parents, two primordial gods, named Kishar and Anshar. Anu's consorts were Kai, the Earth Mother, and Antu, the Great Mother of the Sky. He bore children by both of them. Anu and Ki's son was Enlil, Lord of the Air and Earth, guardian of the Tablet of Destiny. They also had a daughter, Ninkursag, Lady of the Mountain. Anu and Antu's son was Enki, Lord of the Earth and Waters, also called Ea. This made Enki and Enlil half-brothers, 450,000 years ago, the Anunnaki first arrived on planet Earth searching for resources. With them, they brought 600 workers called the Igigi. It was these 600 who spread out across the continent of ancient Africa, with each one setting up an infrastructure enabling the Anunnaki to reap the benefits of a continent rich in all types of minerals. This is the story of the Anunnaki in ancient Africa, the decorated cities they built, the mines they created to obtain the metal that shines like the sun, and the spacecraft they utilized to convey their precious cargoes of gold. You will witness how they formed their stargates and how they were used, but most importantly, where and how they created their worker man. This is the Anunnaki connection. The genetic manipulation by the Anunnaki is more than mere myth. It finds echoes in the ancient texts and archaeological findings scattered across East Central Africa. The discovery of ancient gold mines dating back 100,000 years aligns perfectly with the mitochondrial DNA evidence tracing the origins of Homo sapiens to the same region. The theory of the Anunnaki is further supported by intriguing astronomical evidence. The perturbations observed in the orbits of Uranus and Neptune, alongside data from the infrared astronomical satellite, hint at the existence of a 10th planet in our solar system. This celestial body, believed by some to be Nibiru, is the alleged home of the Anunnaki. While scholars remain divided over the accuracy of Zecharia Sitchin's translations of ancient texts, with figures like Michael Heiser
challenging information, which contradicts what Zecharia Sitchin has been displaying, that the gods came from Nibiru. However, in the book, The Anunnaki and the Sacred Science of the Black God by Dr. Wesley Muhammad, he challenges and claims that Mr. Sitchin, his story holds no weight when it comes to a foundational basis to prove his claim. Let's take a look, y'all. Sitchin's basic claim is that the Sumerians of ancient Mesopotamia wrote about the visually depicted a particular narrative of foreign origins from a far-away planet called Nibiru. A group of astronaut gods called the Anunnaki traveled to Earth 450,000 years ago in search of gold to take back to their home planet. While a landing party of 50 astronauts, the Anunnaki from Nibiru established the first Earth station in the city of Eridu in modern-day Iraq. These alien gods found here on Earth, archaic, humanoid population. This is what they're supposed to find, right? And archaic humanoid population. Okay, Homo erectus, that is. And they deliberately crossed their own alien DNA with the ape man. Y'all hear that? The result was mankind. The purpose of this grafting project was to produce a slave population that would mine gold in African mines, freeing the Anunnaki gods of this task. As Sitchin wrote, the evidence of the ancient text Mesopotamian as well as biblical suggests that the process adapted for merging two sets of genes, those of a god and those of Homo erectus, involved the use of male genes as the divine element and female genes as the earthly element. If the clay unto which the godly element was mixed was an earthly element, as all texts insist, then the only possible conclusion is that the male sperm of a god, his genetic material, was inserted into the egg of an ape woman. So, let me tell y'all something. First of all, this is in accord with Charles Darwin. And if Zecharia Sitchin is correct, and Charles Darwin, his theory that we evolved from apes, when I say we, they are specifically talking about the so-called black men and women, being that we are the most oldest people on the planet. Everyone else just got here like 6,000 years ago, according to their own Australian DNA genetic research sciences. Okay, so if what Sitchin and Mr. Charles Darwin is saying, then the racist Caucasian enslavers are correct with the 3/5 compromise as far as classifying us as 3/5 of a human. Meanwhile, when you go into history in your research, we were the ones that took them out of the caves, taught them how to read, how to write. When Christian Europe was 99% illiterate, our ancestors, the Moors, had libraries of over 450,000 books. Okay, this has been documented, and maybe even more books than that. So we have to think about the library of Alexandria that was destroyed also in ancient Egypt. Now, never mind that we taught them how to even speak a language. So the story is really not adding up. Being that we are over millions of years old, our DNA has been on this planet so long. And also the Twas. They have a different creation story that does not say we come from an ape and evolved into a human. Furthermore, I must conclude that, I must conclude that the story doesn't hold weight. Because if we were to use biblical text, we are told that we were made in the image of God. So we are made in the image of God. And whatever is in its most original state is that of God. So if we evolved from a monkey, then God himself would be a monkey. It just don't make sense to me, y'all. But let us continue and see what Dr. Wesley has to say concerning Stitchen's notation concerning these Anunnaki. This distinctly Stitchen tale is transparently an adaptation from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teaching about Yaqub and the origin of human races via grafting. While Stitchen's narrative has since become profoundly popular, it is remarkably foundationalist in its key aspects. Take one example. Stitchen never did prove a textual reference from the Sumerian corpus to support the claim of gold mining deities. Huh? Let me read that one more time for y'all, just in case y'all ain't hear that. For y'all in the back that ain't really paying no attention. Let me read it one more time and say it a little bit louder. Stitchen never did prove a textual reference from the Sumerian corpus to support the claim of gold mining deity. The entire corpus of Sumerian literature is searchable at the electronic text corpus of Sumerian literature, and no reference to the Anunnaki mining gold is found. Now, I'm going to stop right here for a second. I got to say something. Because there's all of this gold all over the earth. Queen Elizabeth hiding gold, stole gold from Africa. Other people, showing off gold, keeping it in secret. And if this gold was such a big deal to these extraterrestrial Anunnaki, why don't they come and snag it? Or is it that the ones that have the gold in their possession are these Anunnaki, and they're storing it themselves for a time when they're going to take it to this planet called Nibiru, or use it for this gold refinement dust that they were supposedly breathing in their atmosphere for them to uphold their light body? I mean, which is it? I mean, make this make sense, y'all. Anyway, let's keep it pushing. Certainly, Stitchen's theory of genetic hybridization, which with ancient primates, is also totally unsupported by the Sumerian text. Stitchen's evidence appears to consist of a mixture of conjecture and simplistic interpretation of symbols and a highly interpretive and unsystematic reading of the standard translations of Sumerian and Akkadian religious texts, as Stephen Williams rightly pointed out in 1988. The late Dr. Michael S. Heiser, who had a PhD in Hebrew Bible and ancient Semitic language, Semitic language, from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, produced a body of work that shows Stitchen is wrong. I can tell you and show you Dr. Heiser, I ain't sure if I'm saying that name right, declared that what Zechariah Stitchen has written about Nibiru, the Anunnaki, the book of Genesis, the Nephilim, and a host of other things has absolutely no basis in the real data of the ancient world. So he's saying Zechariah Stitchen is full of shit.
Offering criticisms, and others like Alessandro de Montes defending Sitchin's work. Beyond the realm of language, the influence of the Anunnaki is evident in the sudden emergence of advanced Sumerian civilization, marked by significant leaps in technology, mathematics, and astronomy, hallmarks of Anunnaki tutelage. The ancient Sumerian pantheon of Anunnaki has cast a long shadow over the Americas as well. Deities like Veriko-Chia and Quetzalcoatl bear striking resemblances to Sumerian gods Ishkur and Ninjazida, Thoth, suggesting a transcontinental cultural exchange. The megalithic structures scattered across South America not only showcase advanced engineering, but also feature alignments and construction techniques that mirror those of ancient Sumeria and other old world civilizations. Central to the Anunnaki saga is the construction of spaceports, conduits for the celestial exchange between Earth and Nibiru. These operations, however, were marred by dissent among the Anunnaki laborers, leading to a pivotal moment in terrestrial history, the engineered birth of humanity as a solution to the labor crisis. The deluge, a global flood that nearly wiped out all trace of humanity from the planet, necessitated the construction of a new spaceport in the Sinai Peninsula, under the direction of Hathor, also known as Ninharsag. This period also witnessed the Giza Pyramid's emergence as functional beacons in the Anunnaki's terrestrial operations, challenging conventional historical accounts of their purpose and origin.
You've overstepped for the last time, brother. Sparing Utnapishtim, his kin, and safeguarding an entire genetic archive. Do you realize the magnitude of your defiance?
Magnitude, Enlil, or necessity? The flood was to be a purging, not an annihilation. There's a difference.
A difference. The Council decreed a reset, a return to primordial order. And you chose to rewrite the script. For what? For hope?
Yes, for hope. For the possibility of a future where life learns from the past. Without that, what are we but tyrants?
We are keepers of the great cosmic balance. Our decisions, though harsh, are rooted in the greater order. Your hope is a variable we cannot control.
And yet it is the uncontrollable that defines the universe. Order and chaos, creation and destruction, two sides of the same coin. I chose creation this time.
Your choices undermine the authority of the Council, the very fabric of our governance. You've set a precedent that challenges the core of everything we have achieved.
Perhaps it's time that core was challenged. The universe evolves, Enlil. Should we not evolve with it?
Evolve or devolve into chaos. There's a very thin line between the two, and you've just crossed it.
Chaos often precedes transformation. Utnapishtim's survival, the preservation of species. It's a beacon for what's to come. A new chapter, not the end.
And if this chapter leads us into darkness, brother, what then? Your actions will have consequences that even you cannot foresee. What madness could have possibly possessed you, Enki, to bestow such a gift upon these mortals? They were meant to serve, not to ponder the mysteries of existence.
Brother, why should we fear their growth? Their consciousness, albeit a spark from our own, holds the potential for greatness. Is it not our duty to nurture and watch over them as one tends to a garden?
Nurture? You have lost your mind. These creatures were never intended to bear the weight of divine knowledge. You have not elevated them. You have doomed them to a life of confusion and despair, forever reaching for that which they can never grasp.
Perhaps it is you who fails to grasp the true nature of our creation. In their quest for understanding, they mirror our own journey. Is it not within them, as it is within us, to seek, to question, to create? This spark can kindle the fire of progress and innovation.
You speak nonsense of progress and innovation, but I see only the seeds of rebellion and chaos. You have disrupted the cosmic order, and for this, there will be consequences. These mortals, with their newfound awareness, will challenge the very balance we strive to maintain.
Balance is not maintained by stifling growth, but by adapting to it. In their journey, we too shall learn and perhaps find a new way to exist together. The fear of what might be should not dictate the promise of what could be.
Your ill-thought idealism is dangerous, Enki. Your carelessness threatens to unravel the very threads of destiny we have so carefully woven. Remember, it was not by our hand alone that this world was crafted. You have acted without consent, without regard for the consequences.
It is because I remember our shared purpose that I took this step. In their eyes, I see a reflection of our earliest aspirations. This is not an act of defiance, but one of faith in our creation.
Faith. Your actions will be your undoing, brother. You have sown the seeds of discord, and for this, you will answer not just to me, but to the Creator of all. This transgression shall not go unpunished.
Enki, your recklessness knows no bounds. To defy the Council's decision and meddle with these creatures is beyond forgivable.
Father, my intentions were for the greater good. You must see this. Humanity holds a spark, something unique that could benefit us all.
Silence. Your greater good has brought us to the edge of chaos. Your actions have consequences, and you will face them.
Indeed, brother. Your sentimental attachment to these mortals jeopardizes everything we've worked for. It's unfathomable.
But to wipe them out, is that our only solution? There must be another way, one that doesn't involve extermination.
You overstepped, Enki. The decree was clear, and yet you chose to ignore it. Your transgressions cannot be overlooked.
The decision stands. Humanity's fate is sealed, and your punishment imminent. I will ensure our mission on Earth continues without further disruption.
I stand by my actions, consequences be what they may. There is value in humanity, even if I stand alone in seeing it.
Your defiance has sealed your fate, Enki. The Council will decide your punishment. As for humanity, their end is nigh.
Let this be a lesson in obedience and the importance of our laws. The balance must be maintained at any cost.
Then I will accept my fate, but know this, humanity's potential is vast. One day, perhaps, you'll see the truth of my words.
Enough. The decision is made. Humanity's end is decided. And so too shall be yours, Enki. The cosmic order will be upheld.
In Hursag, the hour draws near. Nibiru's shadow looms, a harbinger of rebirth through destruction. Enki's folly in the garden, his defiance, it has led us here to the brink.
The fabric of creation strains, Enlil. The Nephilim, offspring of the forbidden, tread where they should not. The earth cries out, its lamentations unheard in the heavens. This cleansing fire, it is necessary.
A cruel calculus, Enki's compassion misplaced has seeded chaos. Our hand is forced. Nibiru must pass, a celestial purge to reclaim the sanctity lost.
It grieves me, this reckoning. The lands I've nurtured to see them so, it is a heavy cost. I stand with you. The cycle must continue, for creation to endure.
Our resolve must be ironclad. The aftermath, a world reborn from ashes, will demand our vigilance. We will shape a new dawn, sister, from the remnants of this necessary end.
Let Nibiru's shadow pass, and from the silence that follows, may a purer echo arise.
The government stimulated and guided the extraterrestrial hypothesis of the UFO narrative.
A new term of alien washing history as to take away from the black presence that existed.
Ufology is a protector of the lie of white supremacy.
The story of the Annunnakians is so, I think, interesting to black people is because we feel a connection to it. It resonates.
You never find a kill order from the Black House against Malcolm X, but we got the kill order from the White House in Washington, D.C.
The advancement of technology is not on the basis of morality whatsoever. It's all the dollar.
The Nation of Islam is producing the new humanity.
In the men agenda, which is the disruptive of the frequency of the mind, because he can't collect his thoughts.
Because in 2024, you still doing white women, knowing, seeing how that always goes wrong for you, bro.
According to the book of Habakkuk 3:3 and 4, it says God came from T-Man, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. Sally, his glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise, and his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hand, and that was the hiding of his power. He came from T-Man. That's all we need right there. And the Holy One came from Mount Paran. That's all we need. As we see, T-Man is in Saudi Arabia, as well as Mount Paran. They're both in Saudi Arabia. Clearly, it's saying that the God is coming from our earth. It ain't say he's coming from Nibiru. It ain't say it's one of the Anunnaki that's coming, from another star constellation. It is plainly and clearly saying that the God is coming from our earth.